Hey everyone, welcome back to Armory Unveiled. In today's video, we're diving into one of the most powerful and iconic military assets in the world, the U.S. aircraft carrier. It's the centerpiece of the U.S. Navy's power projection and global reach. But why exactly is it so unmatched? What makes it the most formidable force on the oceans? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. From the mighty nuclear-powered Nimitz-class to the cutting-edge Ford-class, aircraft carriers have redefined naval warfare since their inception in the early 20th century. But what gives the U.S. aircraft carrier its unrivaled dominance? Let's break it down. To understand why the U.S. aircraft carrier has no match, we first need to look at the history of these massive warships. The aircraft carrier's rise to prominence began during World War I, but it wasn't until World War II that they truly transformed naval warfare. Before aircraft carriers, battleships were the kings of the sea, but they were slow, heavily armored, and relied on close-range engagements. The introduction of aircraft, however, changed everything. At the Battle of Midway, the U.S. Navy successfully demonstrated how carriers could project power far beyond the horizon, sinking 4 Japanese carriers and decisively turning the tide of the war. But aircraft carriers didn't stop evolving there. Over the next few decades, advancements in technology, weaponry, and naval tactics turned these ships into floating airbases. Today, carriers are multi-role platforms capable of launching airstrikes, delivering humanitarian aid, and providing a show of force wherever they go. So, what makes these ships so powerful? It all starts with the technology that powers them. Let's start with the hull. Modern U.S. aircraft carriers like the Nimitz and Ford-class ships are massive. We're talking about ships that are over 1,000 feet long and weigh over 100,000 tons. That's the equivalent of 10,000 school buses. But what's more impressive is what's inside. First, there's the propulsion system. These ships are powered by nuclear reactors, which means they can stay at sea for months at a time without needing to refuel. That gives them unprecedented range and endurance. But they're not just floating power plants. They're also home to some of the most advanced aviation technologies in the world. Carriers are designed to launch and recover a wide variety of aircraft. Fighter jets like the F/A-18 Hornet and the newer F-35 Lightning II are the backbone of a carrier's offensive capability. These jets can conduct air superiority missions, strike targets deep within enemy territory, and provide close air support to ground troops. Then there's the E-2D Hawkeye, the flying radar that provides 360-degree surveillance, helping to direct air operations. Advanced radar, like the AN/SPY-3 system, allows the carrier to track hundreds of targets at once. And with systems like the Aegis Combat System, the carrier can defend against everything from ballistic missiles to enemy aircraft. But it doesn't stop there. The U.S. aircraft carrier is a hub of high-tech coordination. Everything from radar to weapon systems works in unison to ensure that these ships are the most formidable on the seas. One of the key reasons U.S. aircraft carriers have no match is their ability to project power anywhere in the world, often within hours. With dozens of U.S. carriers stationed around the globe, there is always one within striking distance of potential hotspots. Whether it's a show of force in the South China Sea, humanitarian aid in the Caribbean, or military strikes in the Middle East, the U.S. aircraft carrier is always ready to respond. The versatility of an aircraft carrier is unmatched. It can function as a forward base for aircraft, a platform for naval combat, and even a command center for joint operations with allied forces. This makes carriers vital in crisis response and global stability. But the power projection doesn't just rely on the carrier's aircraft. The ability to rapidly deploy Navy SEALs, conduct amphibious assaults, and provide air support for ground operations makes the carrier an indispensable tool in modern warfare. So what about the U.S. aircraft carrier in modern warfare? Some might argue that with the rise of hypersonic missiles and advanced air defenses, aircraft carriers are vulnerable. But the U.S. has developed countermeasures to keep these ships safe. One of the biggest threats to aircraft carriers is long-range anti-ship missiles. But modern U.S. carriers are equipped with some of the most advanced defense systems in the world. The Aegis Ballistic Missile Defense System, for example, is designed to track and intercept missiles at long range, while close-in weapon systems, CIWS, can take out incoming threats in seconds. Additionally, U.S. aircraft carriers are often accompanied by a fleet of destroyers and submarines, creating a layered defense network that's hard to breach. These ships work in tandem to ensure the carrier remains protected while projecting force far and wide. And of course, there's the offensive capability. Aircraft carriers are still home to some of the most powerful aircraft in the world, capable of striking targets at great distances. The U.S. Navy has developed specialized aircraft like the F-35C, which can perform both traditional strike missions and intelligence-gathering operations. And with the development of unmanned aircraft like the MQ-25 Stingray, the carrier will only become more versatile in the future. Now let's talk about the strategic advantage. The U.S. Navy has 11 aircraft carriers, more than any other nation, and that gives it an unmatched strategic edge. Unlike other nations with powerful fleets, the U.S. Navy has the ability to deploy a carrier anywhere in the world, essentially projecting a permanent presence in critical regions. No other Navy has this kind of capability, and it's one of the key factors that makes the U.S. Navy the most powerful in the world. Russia and China, for example, have aircraft carriers, but their fleets are much smaller, and they lack the technological sophistication of U.S. carriers. The U.S. Navy also has a far greater ability to sustain operations over long periods, something that gives it an enormous advantage in a prolonged conflict. Strategically, carriers are also flexible tools for diplomacy. They can be deployed as a deterrent in high-tension situations, allowing the U.S. to show its power without having to resort to direct military action. So, what does the future hold for the U.S. aircraft carrier? Is it still going to be the backbone of the Navy in the decades to come? With advancements in technology, we're seeing the development of next-generation aircraft carriers, like the Ford-class ships, which will soon be followed by even more advanced vessels. These ships are designed to operate with fewer crew members and incorporate next-gen technologies like electromagnetic catapults for launching aircraft. And with the rise of unmanned aircraft and hypersonic weapons, there's no doubt that the role of the carrier will continue to evolve. But one thing remains clear: the U.S. aircraft carrier will remain a crucial part of U.S. naval power for the foreseeable future. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive. Got thoughts, questions, or ideas for future videos? Drop them in the comments. I love hearing from you. Until next time, stay curious and stay awesome.